Good morning, Appliance Service Alliance Group. See, this is why they don't let me do this. But what's up,
That's
y'all?
Hey, she was
fine.
killing it.
Yeah, it was too strong, I guess. Too much, too much. Hey,
Hey, I got too happy, man.
we got we got some friends checking in today. It's Freestyle Friday. We're bringing the energy this time. We got our boy Adam, Jeremy. Good
What's
morning,
up, Jeremy? Jeremy and I just talked.
G. What'd you say about Jeremy?
I said Jeremy and I just talked on the phone not too long ago for quite a
Good.
long time. Good dude.
Amen. Uh, my office help, JoJo. This is a new one. Denny, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. Uh, so, speaking of Jeremy, I got this cool thing I wanted to show him, and shout out to Jeremy for sharing this with me. This cool idea. This is a giant mouse pad. He uses this for setting his tool bag down in the customer's house and making a work surface, and it makes it so professional. I just got mine in yesterday and I brought it in. I'm excited to level up. So if you haven't done something like that, that's something you can check out.
See,
Obsessed.
that's what I love about this community, man. You can be in this 20 years and you're always that's a brilliant idea. And
Yeah,
it's all about the small things, man. It really
exactly.
is.
Amen. Yeah, I love it. Just all these different ideas and the networking. Uh, I don't know if you guys saw, but EJ's Appliance Repair did their first sealed system on a Sub Zero, and I tagged in and I felt a fellow Alliance member, and he came down, helped us out, got him some lunch. Everything's good. That's what we got to do. Oh, Denny's using a yoga mat. Yeah, man. Step it up and get your picture on it. It's fun.
So, where'd you guys get it from? From Vista or?
Jeremy, why don't you drop the link on here? We got it on Amazon, and you just upload a picture and they put it on. Jeremy's
They're
is
only like
cool.
$20 a piece.
Amen. Yeah, I got three of them, one for each of us. Uh, if Jeremy will drop the link, that'd be really cool, and then everybody else can see it. But let's let's do a little intros because we've been on a minute or two. You of course know me. I'm EJ, and Miss Ward, Solid Steps to Wealth. You got to represent that one. She's got her own YouTube channel. So if you like what you see here with Miss Ward, make sure you check out hers. It's next level. She does the clean version here, and she bears it all in her channel. So check that out. Uh, and my good friend, if you don't know him yet, you need to pay attention here. Justin Gandy from Kansas City. It's Kansas City, Kansas, right? People think it's Kansas City, Missouri, and we don't even give any credit to that side, right?
So I do live on the Kansas side, but it's not Kansas City. Actually, I live in the suburbs on the
Yeah,
Kansas side.
yeah.
So
He
there's KC there's KCK, and then there's the surrounding areas. They're all their own little
he lives
township.
in he lives in the rich part of town, is what he's trying to say. He's done it right, and he's living on the good side. There
There
ain't no
there's
bad.
there's much richer areas. Trust me. There's not that many golf courses around me.
So we're clarity this week, and I want to give a little background before Justin does it. Uh, that way, it's not bragging; it's just receiving your flowers. Uh, Justin's been my mentor for a few years now, and he's helped me in my business's growth. Uh, been in the business 20 something years, family business. Everybody in his family's in appliance repair, and it's a pretty big family all over the country. Uh, we've been 6 years, I think, 6, 7 years at Appliance 911 in Kansas City, and just acquired another business in Oklahoma City called Arrow Appliance, and steady building that up. Uh, Multiple techs. He's been in this industry for a long time, and he's knows how to do it, and he's doing it right. And you're starting a new thing, scale or fail. I'll let you talk about that, and we're going to talk about clarity while scaling your business. So if you're a small business like me, or a one-man show, or got a handful of techs, you might want to pay attention. Justin's doing it right, and he's going to talk about scaling the business, and we're going to try to be part of it. Me and Miss Ward, we're going to get involved a little bit here, but Justin,
I appreciate it, brother. Well, when my business really started taking off, we talked about SOPs and structure and a lot of processes along the way, right? I didn't have paperless invoicing. I was doing everything the old school way that had been taught to me. And, you kind of opened my eyes to some of the software that's available. And as my company has grown, I got kind of immersed in it. And, with House Call Pro, there's a bunch of reports that you can generate and make your own custom reports. And it's funny because, I bought Arrow Appliance in May. Okay. It had 2 technicians. We're up to 5, about to bring our 6th guy down there. And we use the same approaches we used up here. Tried to keep it pretty lean, but I started really doing a lot more data reports based on per technician, trying to find a trend, right? Because my prospects were changing dramatically as my company was growing. I have a lot more younger guys that actually have a lot more of the skill sets that I'm looking for early on, and they're flourishing earlier in the process than the guys that I started out with. And some of it is obviously the culture around and having those guys to lean on. I think part of it is really working on your processes and trying to shorten that curve. But more than anything, it's trusting the data and knowing, you're not always right, and your instincts are going to lead you astray if you don't pay attention. So, it's kind of ironic that EJ brought this up to me about doing it this morning, because I literally just printed off all these key indicating things on each technician that works for me. And I wrote notes on each one. And this goes back the last 6 months. Okay. And it's crazy because, we now have 13 guys between both locations, 13, 14 guys with 1 more in training. And the data this far in depth, I've never done. And I actually had my wife look at it because I didn't want my opinion to be biased based on what I was seeing versus what I wanted to believe. And what I realized real quickly is the guys that I was actually trying to cherry pick calls for and build their head of steam, so to speak, and the guys that are actually out there making tons of money and doing really well, the guys that were getting, for instance, I did a key indicating factor of where they're doing service calls. So some of the guys that I was actually cherry picking their calls were in the richer communities where the conversion rates are higher, right? They actually had twice as many opportunities on drier calls and easy conversion calls, but the numbers weren't there. And we started looking at going, what's the deal here? And so I started asking Lex and Nate, hey, what are you seeing? And we came to the conclusion that they're not having to stretch their salesmanship every day. They're not having to really grind those sales out. When they're getting layups one after another, that it gets dulled down, and they're actually converting on dryers at the lowest percentage of the company, even though they have the most opportunities with them. And it was a really alarming thing. It's like, okay, part of it is they're bored to death, or they're really have got comfortable and they're not understanding that I'm trying to actually throw them some layups to try to get them, get that ball rolling, so they'll hopefully it'll catch up. So, and the other aspect of it is, I wrote down and I marked out their names so nobody's feelings get hurt. And I already ran it by the guys that work for me, but my 3 newest guys actually have the best conversion rate, lowest service call percentage, and highest production report. The last 3 guys that I hired with the least amount of experience, and one of the guys that has the most experience, 13, 11 years, actually has the worst. And it's passion, it's purpose. It's like you get burnt out, right? And I think it's a clear indicator that, hey, I need to have a conversation about where you're at in your career and where do you hope to be at 5 years from now? Because that's really what's triggering it. They've lost the passion for this career. And now it's just another stepping stone to another paycheck. And if you have that approach out in a truck every day, it's going to reflect really badly on your numbers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Okay. Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, I think that it's just like your relationship with your family and your significant other. As time and stuff goes on, you got to keep it spicy. You feel me? And when you're dealing with employees, particularly employees who I don't know how long these employees have per se been with you individually. If they started with you, they saw the struggle and the growth. If they didn't start with you, they came in at a certain time, and you may have leaned on them for some things. And they may feel they have a specific relationship with you, and they're not held to the mat like everybody else. I mean, we as owners and we have to own our stuff. There's a lot of times we've allowed people to I like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know how people lower their abilities and they kind of get in that relaxed mode. We allow that.
Absolutely.
And so it's either, I always feel as a leader, it's your responsibility to get them not only the buy-in, but also feel a part of it. And people have to feel a part. And however, you got to find out what that key is for that employee. Because some people, they know they're getting a check. They know that no matter what happens, they got the same thing. And we haven't shown them anything different. You follow me? So if I
Absolutely.
do, like, prime example, I remember when I had a job when I was in the W-2 world. And, I knew I wanted to hit, with me, I've been blessed to make 6 figures for most of my life. But I didn't realize I was making 6 figures, which is weird. You know, how you come from the hood, you start at the bottom, now you're here, and you support the whole damn family. So no matter how hard you work, you still ain't got no damn money.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all that to say, in my mind, at those positions I had, I knew exactly how many hours I had to push, how many spiffs, what I had to do to make sure that I was getting $2,000-3,000 every check or whatever. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when you're dealing with employees, you got to realize there is a W-2 mindset. And when they have a W-2 mindset, their desires, their whys are very different. So first we have to respect it, and then we have to build them up and let them know we appreciate everything you bring to the table. And then we got to find a new position for them sometimes, but you got to watch their mindset. Because say you have this person be a mentor or a coach, or he's doing all the triage for the jobs or assisting with the triage. They got to have some level of empowerment. And a lot of times I found, like, because for the company I worked for, I was a troubleshooting, the way I would go into very difficult areas. And when I went in those areas, I would pinpoint the people that had the abilities but had not been celebrated. And I would celebrate them. I would bring them under my wing, and I would turn corporate instead of the enemy, and I would change their mindset, because a lot of employees always feel like management is the enemy. It's like, but then it's how managers deal with them. I would teach them how to use the rule book and the corporate policies as a tool to climb the ladder. I
Amen.
was always put in those positions where, and let's just keep it a buck, I go into urban areas or areas that had so much potential to make money, but they felt ostracized from the other world because they didn't understand it. And then when I showed up looking like them, talking like them, walking like them, and representing corporate, it was like, whoa, where did she? She's one of us. But at the same time, I taught them the game and like, look, you wrote the
Yep.
book. Play the game better than anybody else. And you see me do it in appliance repair. So when you're dealing with employees, you first have to respect what they bring to the table. And you have to mine that field of brilliance, those gems, and then, polish the mirror for them and let them know that's you.
God,
And I need to see
that's
the best in you.
that's really good, because
Amen.
I actually believe everything you just said. After building a business like this, you really need to understand your people's dreams and goals and aspirations in order to motivate them and do it from a place where it's out of respect and not be demanding all the time, right? I always say all the time, we're not an appliance repair business. We're a leadership business that happens to do appliance repair, right?
Yeah. Look at this comment from Saul. Seems to me the season techs are just comfortable making X amount and really don't want to make extra cash. That's that contentment, complacency uh, that you guys are talking about, and you got to find ways while you're growing. Instead of just running all the business, you got to find ways to keep encouraging and motivating your team. Uh, I want to dial it back just a little bit because this is a good conversation, but uh, for the guys with maybe one or two people on their team or three trying to grow, uh, I want you to share what's some of the key things that you've experienced that helped you get beyond that level of one, two, or three techs to get to where you are.
Do you want me to go first, Miss Ward, or do you want to go
Yeah,
first?
that's you. It's
Uh,
all you.
so I'll say this. I made a lot of mistakes early on, and I was willing to do whatever it took to be successful and take a good, long, hard look in the mirror. Um, just because I had the most field experience doesn't mean that I know everything. And once I started building a brotherhood with the people that I employed, and I was out there doing it with them, not willing, not asking them to do what I wasn't willing to do myself. Um, that and always being transparent about the bigger picture. Where are we heading and how are we getting there? Right. And how am I going to create bigger opportunities for you in particular as we approach those goals and aspirations? Transparency is, in my opinion, it's the golden rule. If you are not willing to be transparent and pour into people, you will get back what you give. If you're willing to spend time with them and really understand what they're hoping to get from this, and understanding how you can get the most out of somebody so they can accomplish that. But that takes some personal soul searching sometimes, because you're pouring into a lot of people where it feels like there's not a lot left sometimes. I don't know if Miss Ward's ever experienced that, but when you have that many guys get to the point where they trust you and they're trying to seek advice, it becomes overwhelming. And then it reaches the point where it's not me in leadership, it's we. And then I have some guys that really have stepped up that you've got to meet, EJ, Lex, and Nate, who these guys are the magic to the business. Everybody thinks I'm this brilliant mastermind. I was very fortunate to have two of the greatest men I know help me build a business, and were selfless and saw the big picture, and was never about them. It was about us.
Now, you got some serious buy-in from Lex and Nate when you got them, and of course,
Definitely.
Lex is just the mascot. He's the hype man, and Nate's the quiet leader. You know, that them two guys have just worked their butts off for you and for themselves and the team. That culture is huge. So stepping it back just a little bit more, how did you get to the point where you could overcome the obstacle of this is a big step to hire the first guy or two, and those concerns? A lot of the one-man shows out there are terrified for different reasons of what it's going to take to just bring one person back in, and how do you pick that person? How do you get over the fear of doing it? Because I'll tell you, on the topic of clarity, it's you got to have a little bit of clarity to jump. Because if you're going to jump from one place to a scary place, it really helps if you can see it.
No doubt.
You got to have that clarity to know what's going.
No doubt. Well, and I get what you're getting at now. So I'll say this. You know, first of all, you got to find that right person that you choose to do that with the first time, right? You might find some frogs before you find the one that's really going to stand out, who's going to buy in, who's going to be all those things you need from that first guy, because it's such a pivotal point in your business where you're investing in somebody and you may not see the returns on that till it's 3 or 4 guys, right? The most expensive part is when it goes from you to 1 to 2, right? Because now you're splitting your calls with 2 other people that have less experience, less closability than yourself, typically, right? And you're spreading your resources thin when you're already thin as it is. And my suggestion is this, is make sure it's not anybody that has any red flags. They better wow you. And they better wow you in every shape and form, because you're going to pour into that guy financially, with knowledge, in every aspect. They're willing to go the extra mile because that's the person that hopefully becomes a leader in your business, or at least opens the door to somebody else who could become one. And the other aspect of it is, you know, when I started hiring my first guy, when I'd get home from work, I was game planning how I was going to create enough calls for him before I even got him training. So I'm working on that as a side deal, so I can see the vision of how I'm going to get there, right? And counterbalance the call volume growth with, hey, I'm pouring into this guy. He's riding with me every day, but here in 5-6 months, I better have enough calls for him, right? And it was about timing too. So when I first started, I actually trained in the winter, and then my hope was by summertime, when we got busier, I'm going to take a larger market share in my area, right? Because all the big companies are going to get booked up, and guess what? That's going to give a smaller company like me more opportunity for growth. And that's the only time of year I'm going to have that opportunity, because wintertime, it's going to button down and they're going to take every call they can and return to doing next day, same day service. So being strategic about how you grow, and timeliness of, if I start training a guy in the fall or the winter, he's going to be ready to go by spring or summer, to where when those opportunities are there, I can seize them. And we're going to be doing same day service, but I'm going to be doing 15 calls a day as a company instead of 6, right? That's a huge part.
Is that when you recommend hiring somebody new towards the fall and winter? Train them in the.
If you're going from just yourself to 1 or 2 people, I absolutely would. And then the rough part is you got to pay somebody in the wintertime, right? But look at it this way. That's a short-term investment to literally make your money back by the end of that summer. Right? And you're taking a lot of risk out of it, to where if that person's not that person, you still have a big enough window where you can put somebody else in the truck and start over. And you might have to start over 2 or 3 times, right? But you need somebody at that point that is going to be able to do some laundry calls, maybe some ice makers, but the basics. You need somebody in the summertime while you're going out and doing sealed system, the high margin calls, the tough calls where, you know, your reputation's at stake as a business, while he's getting the cupcakes. I mean, and that's part of the sacrifice of being an owner at that point, is you're giving away the calls that every owner wants, right?
Yeah,
But it's worth it.
there was something you said to me a year ago or two before I really started to get through the struggles of having somebody on payroll and going through a slow season. And I think it's from your investment banker background. You know, when the stock market falls, what do all the successful people do?
They buy.
They double down.
Yeah.
They buy and they spend, right?
Yeah.
So when it's slow, that's when you got to do the scary thing.
Yeah.
And invest. And you know, I invested last year in a new website and a new Google Ads platform, and you know, hired a guy and started training. Right, it was the scariest. And the funny thing that I like to mention about you, Justin, is you've told me several times that you'll overhire in order to get your butt in gear.
Yep.
Because
I
you
never got
operate on
complacent.
you thrive in the under pressure. So, oh my God, I got 2 guys I gotta feed. So you get out and hustle.
Especially
And
after
that's
you
real
develop a relationship with them, right? Now you know they
right.
got a wife and kids. Oh, I got to make sure that I make this happen now. I like this guy. I like his family, right? And it would just make
Amen.
me go into a whole nother grind level that I didn't even know I was capable of, out of respect and a sense of responsibility, you know? Um, if your moral compass is sound when it comes to what you're trying to do and help people along the way and make money, it's hard to steer you wrong when that's your purpose,
Yeah.
right? It was my purpose because I forced my hand to be my purpose, right?
Right. And Jeremy here that I got your 6 appliance. He's been going through this. He's in the middle of hiring his first tech, and his business is new, I think, in the first 2 years. And you know, he's a long time tech, worked for a major manufacturer, and he does it right. He cares. And you know, one thing we discussed is it's really profitable to be a one-man show because your costs are low and your overhead's low. You can maintain the profit level, right? But sometimes you got to give up a little bit for the long run. And what you do when you're the one-man show and bringing somebody in like that is you may sacrifice, but you're making an investment. And that's how I got over the fear is I can't get to the point where this thing runs without me if I don't invest. And sometimes it's my time, sometimes it's my money, sometimes it's stress. Uh, that's the kind of things that I notice. Uh, Miss Ward, you got anything on that topic?
Yeah, well, I had a couple of questions about how he's able to remain in the truck and run the business. What systems does he have in place and things of that nature? Because I think it's going to be interesting to to find those things out. Because when you're in the truck and leading by example and maintaining the back end piece with the ops, like how he has his
Right.
key performance reports, indicators, KPI reports, and things of that nature. You know, like you have to have a system, you have to have a process, and you got to have like everything I've heard Mr. Gandy talk about is one of my favorite word with strategy. strategy and systems.
Amen.
So I really appreciate how you touched on the human component, which I think is so important. It speaks to you as a man, a husband, and a leader, and I just think that you got a lot of people scared to hire employees because they know they're going to take a hit financially.
Yeah.
You follow me? They
Yep.
know it's a learning curve. And then, like I keep telling, like I'm a firm believer in Chick-fil-A's policy. Like, you know how you go to Chick-fil-A and it's all the bomb, no matter where you go?
Oh
My
yeah.
pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. And they're always smiling. That's a pro, that's a, that's psychological. Like, I know these people have the hiring process. And I really think, like the Myers-Briggs strategy needs to be introduced into appliance repair. Like you really people need to be tested because how many times have you interviewed the guy, oh, I can work on anything. And in your brain, you're like, not this one,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
And so I mean, you speak in volume. I mean, you gems. I want to know how you remember the truck and manage that business, particularly at the speed of light that is moving and multiple locations.
So, transparently, okay, we've now grown to the size where we're going to hit probably 2.5 million this year, give or take. It's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. And my number one goal is to keep those margins between 10 and 12%, right? That's a tall order when you're scaling. I'm sure you know as well. As you scale, things get more expensive. That's just how it goes per guy. They don't get cheaper, they get more expensive, actually, right? But what I always, and EJ will attest to this, okay? EJ and I had many talks about the situation where our ultimate goal is to both be out of a truck. But I also realize that's too early for me at this point. I have bigger dreams that I want to still try to go accomplish while I'm still a fairly young man and feel pretty good being in a truck, right? But what happens when your business starts growing like this and you have people out there doing a good job, it's not something I planned for, but it's something that I pivoted as I went along. I realized my big ticket item opportunities were becoming more frequent. So now I'm doing nothing but sealed system jobs pretty much. So I'm using the most of my time in the truck. And when I can't be in the truck, I've hired people that can do it and multiple people to where because I'm earning so much profit margin on the 4 or 6 hours I'm in a truck, it justifies that investment. And as I scale, it will more and more justify it because now I'm going to have 2 or 3 guys out doing sealed system jobs, not just myself. And that's where the whole business dynamic changes when you grow and you're taking a huge market share in your local market. Is people don't understand those opportunities significantly shift. And that's where those big money opportunities where you might be able to go a little thinner on this sealed system job where a smaller guy can't, I might sell it for 1,000 just to make $500, right? And it's still profitable for me because I don't have to pay anybody, and I earn that customer by doing that. You know what I mean? That's the biggest step to it. That, and I have a rock star wife who literally lets me try 50 things and I've failed at 30 of them, but the 20 that have worked, I mean, exponentially well, right? Because we work great together as a team. God bless her
I
for
think
all
this
her
guy.
sacrifices from, the last 5 years. It's somebody asked me not too long ago, why don't you sell your business and just start another one? Because somebody offered me a lot of money to buy the business. And I said, I don't have another one in me. What's up, buddy?
Well,
you know how, Kate, how you doing?
How you doing, brother?
It's like you got this angelic host behind, man. That light coming behind you.
You're
You
you're
see
cutting
it,
out a little bit there.
dressed down Friday.
Oh, well, you can't understand redneck, maybe.
Now you're coming in. What were you saying, brother?
What's up, man?
Not too much.
I said, you
I haven't
look like
talked to
the
you
way.
since the Reds game you went to.
I know it, right? Red game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You called him?
Oh, I did. That's
Yeah.
right. Hello to everybody. Who's
That's Miller.
Miss Ford? How are you?
Too blessed to be
This is
stressed, brother.
Mike.
Bye. You know, you miss the train. Bye.
Later, brother. Yeah, you're cutting out real bad still.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Now you're not.
He says he loves you.
I love you too, brother.
Can you hear me now? Right now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just the visual is delayed. The video is delayed.
Of course.
Don't worry about it, man. Hey,
So,
we good.
this is what we do. Adam's doing what I've been doing and what you're talking about, Justin. When you have people that are counting on work, you got to give them more of the work than you take. And like you said, you cherry pick what you do because it maximizes what your time and your profit. And then you spend some time in the office working on the business throughout. You got to plan that out too, because you'll easily fall away from that if you ain't careful.
Well,
says
and let's. I was gonna say, let's be realistic here. I mean, after 6 years doing this every day and growing this business, this is the first year we didn't take a loss in the wintertime. I mean, that's pretty. You're taking a loss so you can make a big win in the summer, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the risk reward. And anybody that's in that situation where they're thinking about hiring a tech, look, the greatest thing somebody told me, my mentor in this industry said, is you know for sure what a one-man show is going to lead to. You might as well try something besides that.
All right. Now, we got one other question before we cut out. So if you got any other questions, reach out to Justin, Miss Ward, or myself. But the last one for my guy, the appliance guy, TK Cousins. Would you run one man show to hire a CSR first or hire the tech and then a CSR?
So the CSR is the most important piece, in my opinion. They're the first contact, first impression of your business through and through. If you're trying to run service calls and think you're doing a good job at it while answering the phones, listen, I don't care if you're Superman. There are going to be those times where sounds echo through the phone. You have customers in the background, and that impression, that might be an opportunity with a property manager that has 1,500 properties. And because you're standing in a lady's kitchen and it has nothing to do with what you're representing yourself, it's out of your hands. You just missed out an opportunity because they may not even bring it up to you. They might just say, hey, I called about having this fridge fixed, and they're going to have you come to the house. But if that's the impression they're going to set with every one of their tenants who are already going to be difficult, right? And you're inside a customer's house answering your phone, there's going to be those times where you can't be at your best. It's not possible. I mean, Miss Ward, I'll tell you too, she's been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 20 years. That first year when my wife was answering the phones and she would give the phones to me once in a while, it was miserable. Like, there's no way, even with 20 years experience, you can manage that effectively. And if you think you are, you're so deep in it that you're not seeing the big picture. It's
Ms.
it's a
Ward, let's follow
necessity.
up with
It's
this
not
question.
an option.
Let's put this one, Ms. Ward. What do you say to the people that say they can't afford to pay somebody to answer the phones?
Is that supposed to be for me?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to PG my answer over here. That's why I'm taking a minute. Because I had one right off the hip for that.
Yeah.
Well, you really, I'm gonna be honest, you just don't need to be in business.
That's fair.
I have no room. I could care less because at the end of the day, with modern technology, there's no excuse for you not to be able to manage your business. Even people working part-time after work, if you set it up accordingly, you'll understand how to grow in the business and how to make money. And you cannot make money.
Well,
You have to understand what you're trying to do in business. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to build something where customers have that grade A experience when they call, just trying to hustle? We got those hustle and flow crew, that hustling around here. I figure it's a quick lick, and you know how I feel about that. So if
yep,
you can afford to hire one, you need to restructure your business. You need to restructure how you're charging, and you need to make sure your tech skill is at a level that you can charge a premium price. It's that simple.
absolutely. Wouldn't you say it's a direct reflection of where you're at if you can't generate enough revenue to pay a CSR? Because I was paying a CSR and having 2 people in a truck training and creating enough. Now
So,
we weren't getting ahead financially, but I made it work, right? If you're not able to
here,
create enough revenue to pay for a CSR, you're not ready to own a business doing this. I promise you, there are people that are on a whole different level than you.
here's the thing about that, Justin.
Mm.
I don't believe that you have to generate enough revenue
For a
to
CSR?
pay for it. I'm gonna clarify that.
Okay.
The CSR generates the revenue to pay for themselves.
Amen.
And here's why. Instead of you missing
Well said.
calls and trying to book stuff and underneath a refrigerator or while you're driving and distracted, right? Uh, how many calls are they going to book that you missed?
Yeah.
How many does it take? So we talk about knowing your numbers. What's the average ticket for your business, and how many extra calls does it take to pay for a good CSR? My guess is 4 or less.
Yep.
Per week. Is that reasonable to expect that you'll get 4 or more calls than you were getting when you're answering the phone? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's the PG for you, boy.
And that was a great way. That was a great way to put it. I was putting it from the perspective of the argument I always hear from business owners, right? Is I can't afford a CSR.
I hear you.
Yeah. But
you're right.
That's really
and that's
the right
they
mindset.
don't get. Now you can have too many,
Yeah.
but one, get over yourself. They're gonna pay for you. Pay for it. So we're gonna wrap up today. Let's give a shout out to Dr. Dan. Happy 60th birthday.
Happy birthday.
We love you, brother.
Happy
birthday.
Shout
Man.
out to Dr. the LG Wizard. He took our mastermind course this at the beginning of the year, the 8-week course, and during that he made the move to go to his business full time. So Dr. Dan, better to come, and we're in your corner for you, bud.
Hey, can we do this
We
again
got a
soon
couple
where Miss Ward takes the lead and I can ask her some questions? Because I could do this another hour, like asking her questions now.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'll set it up. Stay tuned, everybody, for that. We got a couple announcements to make. Service Alliance Group, the website is turning 1 1 year old, and we're going to do a live video on Sunday, and we're going to give away a special discount for the all access plan. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, or you've been waiting to pull the trigger to go from the monthly plan to the all access, this is your chance. It's going to be the lowest price since our opening, and you're going to want to check it out. Another thing to drop is on the 31st, I'll personally be doing a webinar, coaching calls, what we'll call them, on how to get 5-star reviews. The title is 5 Steps to 5 Stars. And if you've ever been wondering how I do it, you're going to want to tune into that. It's a special for the all access members. Watch live and you can interact, ask questions. I'll be doing a little presentation and get you through what I found to be the important part of generating you and enhancing your reputation to grow and scale your business the way I have. I'm not Justin yet, but I'm following the path laid out. So again, Justin Gandy from KC Appliance 911. Check out his Facebook page, Scale or Fail, the Appliance 911 Way. And of course, keep stepping with Miss Ward, Solid Steps to Wealth. Get out there, solid steppers, and get it. We're going to sign off now, and thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
On Monday. All right. And